My name is Erima. I'm 45 years old. I lived in a small village where everyone knew each other. The village was surrounded by hills and streams. In the morning, people went to their farms, and in the evening, they gathered to share stories. Here is my own story. When I was 15, I lost my parents. I had no brothers or sisters. I had to take care of myself. Life was hard, but I have to stay strong. So I decided to learn tailoring from an old tailor in the village. She had no children of her own. The old woman taught me everything I needed to know, and I worked very hard. My hand is always busy stitching clothes for people who came to her shop. I worked every day, and soon everyone in the village knew that I'm a fashion designer. They brought their clothes to mend, and I earned enough money to live. But even though I was a good tailor, I was lonely. Many women in the village were married and had children, but I was alone. Some men showed interest in me when I was much younger, but they would leave after a while. This made me feel so sad and worthless. I continued with my work, telling myself that one day things might change. In the evening after work, I would sit outside my small house and watch the families walk by. Mothers held their children and fathers carried baskets of fruit. I often wondered if I would ever have a family of my own. At one point, I decided that maybe I would never get married. I accepted my fate and told myself that I would live the rest of my life without a man. So one day, while I was working in my shop, a man named Idu walked in. Idu was a handsome young carpenter from the same village. He brought some clothes that needed mending. As I walked on his clothes, I noticed that Idu is staring at me. I felt a little shy but didn't say anything. When Idu came back to pick up his clothes, he smiled at me and thanked me for doing a good job. He started visiting my shop more often, bringing more clothes for me to amend, and would stay longer each time, talking about life in the village, his work as a carpenter, and his dream for the future. I found myself looking forward to his visit. One evening, as I was closing my shop, Idu passed by. He stopped to help me carry some things inside. We talked for a long time, and Idu began to ask me more personal questions. "You are a kind woman, Irima," he said. "Why are you still single?" I didn't know how to answer. I wasn't sure if Idu was serious or just being polite. But something about the way he looked at me made me think that maybe, just maybe, he was different. Soon, Idu started to visit my house. He brought some gifts like fruit or clothes for my sewing. I was happy but also nervous. I wasn't sure if his interest was real or if he would change his mind like others had done. Then one day, he told me that he wanted me to meet with his mother. My heart skipped. Meeting his mother meant that Idu was serious about our relationship. I agreed, but deep inside, I was worried. I've heard stories about how strong and controlling Idu's mother was. The day I went to meet her, I dressed in my finest clothes. She was polite and quiet, hoping to make a good impression, but she was not pleased. She frowned her face when she saw me and did not even smile. After a short conversation, she said something that hurt me deeply. "You are too old for my son. He needs a young woman who can give him many children." I felt tears in my eyes but did not let them fall. She quietly excused herself and left the house. On my way home, my heart broke. I knew I wasn't young anymore, but I had hoped Idu love would be enough. Idu was angry with his mother. He confronted her after I left, telling her that age didn't matter and that he loved me, but his mother did not accept. She said that without children, a marriage meant nothing. Despite his mother's disapproval, Idu proposed to me. He told his mother that he didn't care what her thought is, that he wanted to be with me. Our wedding was small but beautiful. The villagers came to celebrate, and I smiled for the first time in a long time. But even on my wedding day, I could feel Idu's mother watching me with cold eyes. After the wedding, she pretended to accept me. She started visiting us often, bringing food and offering advice. I thought that maybe she had started to change, but then she had another plans. One day, she brought some herbs to me and told me that they would help me get pregnant. I was grateful and started drinking the herbs every day, not knowing that they were harmful. She was determined to run my marriage. She believed that if I couldn't have children, Idu would eventually leave me and find a younger woman. As time passed, I and Idu tried to have children, but nothing happened, and according to the doctor, we are very okay. After a year of marriage, the pressure from Idu's mother grew stronger. She would visit us and constantly talking about grandchildren, making me feel more and more uncomfortable. I felt sad but didn't know what to do. I loved Idu, but I was afraid that he might start to doubt me. Every time I drank the herbs, I hoped that it would work, but it never did. Idu's mother wasn't helping either. She made comments that made me feel worthless. Maybe if you were younger, you would have given my son children by now, she would say. After some time, I started to feel sick. The herbs were affecting my body, but I didn't realize it. I thought that maybe my sadness was making me ill. After 2 years of marriage, Idu's mother brought another woman to our home. She was young, beautiful, and full of energy. She introduced her to Idu, saying, "This is the woman who will give you children." My heart broke when I saw Idu talking to the young woman. I knew that Idu's mother was trying to replace me, and it hurt me deeply. But Idu reassured me, telling me that he still loved me and would never leave me. However, Idu's mother didn't stop. She invited the young woman to the house regularly, and soon rumors started spreading in the village. People began whispering that Idu was going to marry the young woman. After months of trying, the young woman did not get pregnant either. Idu's mother was confused. She couldn't understand why she was unable to get pregnant. So one night, I had a strange dream. In my dream, I saw Idu's mother holding a thick rope, tying it around my stomach and laughing. I tried to break free, but the rope was too strong. When I woke up, I was scared. The dream felt real, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I prayed, asking God for help and guidance. A few days later, I decided to visit a wise elder in the village. I told the elder everything I saw in my dream, and the elder listened carefully. After some time, the elder said, "This dream is a warning. You are being harmed by someone close to you." I began to suspect that Idu's mother was behind my problems, but didn't know how to prove it. But then I continued with my prayers day and night. So one day I became seriously sick. I was rushed to hospital where several tests were done. To my greatest surprise, the doctor told me that I was pregnant. I couldn't believe it. After 7 long years of trying, I was finally going to have a baby. Idu was overjoyed, and then we went home to share the good news. When we arrived home, we found Idu's mother acting very strange. She was talking to herself and saying, "I did it, I did it." I was confused and I asked, "Mama, what are you saying?" Then she confessed, "I tied your womb. I didn't want you for my son, so I made sure you couldn't have children." I was shocked and started crying. The villagers gathered around her as she continued to confess her wicked deeds. Instantly, she became mad, wandering around the village, picking things off the ground. The young girl who had been brought into the house quickly packed her things and left in shame. I and Idu are finally happy and lived peacefully together. His mother remained mad, paying the price for her evil actions. The villagers who once doubted me now saw me as a strong and blessed woman. My faith, patience and prayers had brought me through the toughest times and I was finally rewarded with a